All right, welcome into the Newport This Week video podcast series. I'm Bill Bartholomew. Remember, all of our episodes are at newportthisweek.com and on the Newport This Week YouTube channel. Rose Island is a gem amongst many gems in our community. It's something that obviously a lot of people think about in a seasonal sense. It's, of course, it doesn't disappear in the off season. It's still there. And whether it's winter or summer, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into the island and specifically the lighthouse. And Sean O'Connor joins us. Welcome back to the podcast and another deep dive of sorts into what it takes to make Rose Island what it is. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. Always happy to chat about Rose Island to anyone who will listen.
What would you say is the one thing that a lot of Newporters or Newport Countyites don't know about Rose Island?
Hmm. Probably how much there is to the history and environment, right? Like you kind of know it's a lighthouse. You see it from the bridge if you're looking, but it's amazing how often local people will come out for the first time and learn about our Revolutionary era fort that we have on the island, or learn about the wildlife refuge and kind of the whole way that birds are such a critical part of why we do what we do and how the island was saved from development in the first place. So there's all those layers of history that I think many people don't know about.
Yeah, I love that. Save from development at a time where, we have such a housing crisis. You wonder, is there ever going to be a day where somebody says, okay, here they are, the lofts at Rose Island, and we're going to transform the lighthouse into luxury
Yeah.
lofts for people. What sort of conservation and long-term preservation is taking place from a legal standpoint on Rose Island that'll literally preserve the island in its status quo?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that is behind us. So really interesting story. A big chunk of the island was up for private sale in 1969. So many years ago. And it was bought by a group of local developers. And for literally decades, they were trying to develop a really extensive marina and condo complex on the island. It's off the grid out there. As you might imagine, it was an extremely challenging project from a logistical and planning perspective. Ultimately, that project didn't go forward. I mean, we're talking all through the 70s and 80s, they were trying to get it going. Ultimately, the island was purchased by our organization in the 90s, and it was done so with a grant from the Rhode Island DEM. And so the DEM at that time recognized what an important parcel of island land Rose Island was for habitat for nesting birds, nesting shore birds, some that we are very familiar with, like gulls, different species of gulls, but also birds people may be less familiar with, like glossy ibis and great egrets. So 90% of the island has a conservation easement on it, so it is already barred from ever being developed, which we think is so important. And there's some really cool conservation stories of how that came to be. It was a community effort. Not it wasn't just the DEM saying, let's preserve this. It was the community saying, and certain people saying, hey, this island matters, let's not develop it. And so there was all these years of, some tension between the people and the developers, and that's how it all ultimately shook out.
What goes into maintaining the island in terms of maintaining the lighthouse on an annual
Yeah.
basis? I mean, what sort of staff do you have to work with? Give us some insight into your
Yeah,
your
yeah.
your, your operation.
It's yeah, so the historic lighthouse, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. So is our Fort Hamilton Barracks. Those are our two sort of primary historic structures. And both of those buildings take a lot of maintenance. It's one of those things that, I mean, as anyone working in historic preservation and as any homeowner might know, to keep structures in good condition and great condition, it really is a constant effort. And we are a small team year round. It's myself as the executive director. We have an island manager, Chris Reeves, that oversees maintenance of the properties, and an office manager. And then we have seasonal staff that help us with tours. But one really neat highlight is this winter we brought back our Winter Keeper program, where people pay a modest fee and come out and stay for a week at a time and volunteer 3 to 4 hours a day. So we weren't doing the major outdoor projects, but we did so many indoor projects within the lighthouse and the barracks that are part of that maintenance schedule with the help of folks who, some folks who had been to the island before and already fell in love with it. And we had a family from Kansas come out. They've never been to New England before, and they stayed for a week and did some amazing work volunteering for us. So it's a labor of love and a community effort.
Now, how can people in the community get involved in general if they either want to go and stay or want to get involved on a volunteer basis?
Yeah, we're volunteers are that's like a thing we're thinking about a lot right now because our season is sort of starting. We have our sort of garden landscaping team go out every Wednesday. So if there's anyone out there who's like a landscaping garden person and has some time on Wednesdays free, usually about from 9 to 1, we would love to have you join that volunteer corps. Um, and we also have volunteer opportunities for people to help with some hospitality and education as well, being docents. So volunteers are an important part of it. I got to get our volunteer page relaunched on our new website. So look out for that soon on roseisland.org, and or just reach out to us at info@roseisland.org if you're just like, I want to volunteer, let me reach out now. And yeah, our regular overnights start tomorrow as well. So we're out of this winter phase where we have people stay for a week at a time. Now people can just come for 1 or 2 nights and stay in the historic lighthouse or in the Foghorn Cottage or barracks. And yeah, pretty exciting. That starts tomorrow for us. And then the ferry starts in mid-May. The Jamestown Newport ferry brings day visitors. And if you haven't been for like a summer picnic for the day on Rose Island, please, please come. It's such a special place to do that.
When it comes to municipal and state and even at federal interaction with Rose Island, what is that relationship like? I mean, in terms of, is there any regular funding and is there anything that you kind of need from any of those layers of government on a regular basis that you have to work with partners at all three levels of government?
Yes, we do work at all three levels. Federally, it was talked about in last week's edition of Newport This Week. We have this new museum exhibition initiative happening and research initiative. That was a grant we received from Rhode Island Commerce, but ultimately it was federal funds from the U.S. Department of Economic Administration, I believe. So hopefully that all continues because we are in the middle of that grant. And we do work with our state legislators. We want to keep them appraised of what all the good work that we're up to. And um, on the local level, really the lighthouse, the interesting thing is owned by the city of Newport, and for 40 years, Rose Island has managed it on their behalf. So we definitely stay in touch with our local city officials to, keep them appraised of what the good work we're doing out there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of coordination. Grants are an important source of income, how we keep it all going, and sometimes those come from private foundations, but other times there might be, state or federal opportunities that we go for.
Feeling good about the season, as you say, we're entering into it right now. I mean, the weather may not be
Yeah.
exactly what we dream of at this exact moment,
No.
but it's going to happen fast.
It is going to happen fast. And yeah, this is going to be my third full season at the organization at Rose Island. I feel like we have so much to be proud of in terms of how we've advanced some of our mission focused areas of work, like, these new museum exhibits we're bringing to life. So overall, I'm feeling excited about the season, really good about it. We have a lot planned on the island this year. Um, People have some small weddings coming up like this coming weekend.
All right.
Uh, so, yeah, I'm feeling really good. And of course, in any nonprofit, in any business, there are always challenges and making sure, funding streams, especially tied to, maybe federal grants, continue in a way that doesn't leave us in a pinch. Always concerns, but really excited for the season.
Sean O'Connor, Rose Island. What a gem and great work. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.